I was awoken by this intense thumping on the door. Get up now, get up now. There's a bear outside. My name is Christopher Barrett. I'm an ocean enthusiast. And lately, I had the opportunity to follow in the footsteps of some of my heroes like Brian Black and sail in the Arctic. The premise of this expedition, the Ocean Warrior Foundation expedition in the Arctic, was to gather key scientific data about oceanography. I'm extremely interested in and dedicated to the ocean, with my passions in sea kayaking, where I'm an instructor on the west coast of Ireland, along with surfing and recently sailing. I first got my opportunity into sailing with the Irish charity Sailing into Wellness, which uses the opportunities of the sea to have a positive impact on those coming from difficult backgrounds. My journey onto the Ocean Warrior Foundation expedition was an interesting one. Initially, I had to apply online, and then 10 of us were selected for a selection weekend in Dartmoor in the UK. This resulted in 3 days wilderness expedition coupled with outdoor challenges to try and select somebody suitable for the project. I couldn't believe the news when I found out that I was the overall winner and I would have this opportunity to sail in the Arctic. It was on the archipelago of Svalbard where I first boarded the SV Linden, a 3-masted wooden schooner. The intention of this project is very, very different to other oceanography research projects, in the sense that very few of these projects use sailing as their means to travel while gathering this crucial data. This is a very, very different approach to science. In a sense, it's an opportunity for slow science, but it also gives an opportunity for naturalists and photographers like myself on board to have a different interpretation into how science is gathered, and also to create meaningful content. And traveling at this pace allows us to understand the natural world around us and the impacts of climate change right in front of our very eyes. Over the course of the expedition, we sailed along the western side of Spitsbergen, gathering crucial scientific data about the area. And what was incredibly interesting about this trip, we got to encounter some really incredible wildlife and view firsthand the impacts that climate change has on them. It's very crucial to point out at this stage that the sole purpose of the expedition is gathering scientific data. It's incredibly important for us as a crew to ensure that these animals are completely undisturbed. And it was on this, our final day of the expedition, where home was in sight, that we got perhaps the biggest surprise and one of the most remarkable things I'll ever experience in my life. I felt the banging on the door from Ian, our naturalist, who would have been on deck with his set of binoculars, as he does every morning. Loudly he announced to everyone that there was a bear outside, and you could feel within the crew there was a sense of excitement and exhilaration, but also this surreal feeling. And initially the bear was on the shore, perhaps about 1 kilometre away, and we could all view her through our binoculars. To our amazement, she gracefully dipped into the water. We knew at about the halfway mark between her initial point and where we were that she was coming towards us. And I braced myself for what could potentially be one of the most important moments, not only of my professional career, but of my life in general. And as the bear came closer and closer to the ship, it was at this stage I could have everything in line and begin taking photographs. What resulted were perhaps the most influential photographs I've ever taken in my life. Because the sun was just starting to rise, and this beautiful golden hue cast this gorgeous light just on the inside of the bear's face, and at a moment she looked right up directly towards us. Having what felt like this moment of connection with such a big, beautiful, formidable creature is genuinely one of the most euphoric moments of my life. But here is the somewhat twist in the tale, because despite this initial euphoria, I knew that there was a certain sense of guilt attached with these images. Initially, I wanted to show the world these photographs, which I adored, but I questioned whether or not this would tell the true story of the Arctic. Because while polar bears are confident swimmers and they've always done it, researchers have discovered that now, because of melting ice, polar bears are going in marathon swims covering insane distances. One female bear swam for 9 consecutive days, covering 462 miles. Polar bears have evolved to hunt on the ice, and now that they're having to swim for greater distances, this poses a grave danger to the cubs. The cubs don't have the same layer of insulating fat as their parents do, and now they have to swim greater lengths than ever before. Of the 68 bears that were GPS tracked, over half of them lost their cubs while swimming. I had this intense inner turmoil for some time. And what I did to combat it was I went back to my roots, and I went back to what interested me originally. When I was young, I would read about the adventures of Tom Crean in Antarctica. And I was very fortunate that on television I was able to view Brian Black. And I could see these adventures that he had sailing in the Arctic. And it seemed as if he was going to the last place of wilderness on the earth, true remoteness. And Brian had this ability to tell the story in a sense of reality and what's truly happening. And that was something that I adored, and something within the hardship and difficulties of sailing that really appealed to me. I rewatched the documentary of Brian Black and his crew sailing from Strangford Lough all the way up through the Arctic Circle and onto Bear Island. And it was here that Brian had the ability to speak about the impacts that we were having in Europe onto this Arctic area. He spoke about glacial retreat, how much the melt was accelerating, and there was visual evidence to show. I remember when I was young, feeling that somebody so relatively close to my own home could speak about these issues. It made the idea more real. The fact that they saw it made it more tangible. It was at this stage I knew what message I needed to convey. I needed to show the class and people in my community these photos because it offers encouragement, but I needed to explain the story. Initially, I felt that this was a story too difficult to tell, not suitable for a wider audience. As photographers, filmmakers, producers, storytellers, we have this opportunity to show the world the sincere truth that is before us. When Brian was speaking this truth and working as a champion for the environment, it was incredibly difficult. He faced challenges, roadblocks, and criticism along the way. But it was when I saw the legacy that Brian had left, I knew it was important for me to also demonstrate the realities of the Arctic. Having said that, when I speak in these environments and I show about, in a specific case, how far these bears have to swim and the vulnerability of their existence, I now thankfully have these images of radiance and glow that I can show students and the wider world to inspire hope. I truly believe that human beings are innovative, resourceful, and dedicated to care. Our determination to seek truth and to create solutions which center around the realities of our situation are paramount to our existence. Not just for us, but for our globe, our big, blue, beautiful planet, and everything that resides in it. Brian Black taught me that. Thank you.